Hi everybody, Susan here with Pumpkin Hill Stampers. I have a Stampin' Show and Tell for you today. Now we are using two retiring stamp sets for this project. We're using the marbled background stamp, which is lovely. I'm going to be sad to see that go. And the Dragonfly Dreams stamp set, which I've used endlessly in my projects, and I know many of you love it and many of you have it. So here's one more project with me that I'm going to share with you. So obviously we're going to stamp the marbled background, right? We're going to create our dragonfly and our little tag here. Now there's lots of steps to this card. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but there's a gold emboss on there as well. So we are going to be using the Stamparatus tool to create our background stamps. We're going to be using our heat tool and gold emboss powder to add some gold shimmer to our project. And we're going to be using the Big Shot to die cut our dragonflies, and then we'll put it all together. So hopefully I can get this done before my camera tells me that I've been talking for too long. So if I'm moving quickly, remember all the details will be on my blog post and in the PDF tutorial, so you can get all the details and you can always watch the video again. So here we go, let's get started. Okay, so to start, we have to do some stamping. So I'm going to bring in the Stamparatus, and I've already got the background stamp on there. Now, Stamparatus has this great custom size grid mess mat you can now get, so I have one of those down. As you can see, I used the other side when I did the project the first time. Okay. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and use a new one because I've got some adhesive on there and I don't want it to make a mess. So I just take a sheet off and I put it right in there, and I'm going to put my magnet down just to hold that in place. Okay, so I'm going to stamp Lemon Lime Twist onto my paper first. So in my kit, I'm going to pull out my pieces. I'll put that aside for a minute. We're going to do the focal point first. Then we're going to stamp on the actual card front, and we're going to do the envelope here. So three things we're doing here on the Stamparatus. Okay, so I'm gonna eyeball. Yep, that'll be underneath. Now, this piece is smaller than my stamp, right? And if I put a magnet down to hold that down, it's not going to stamp right. So what I did, and this is why there was adhesive on the other sheet that I just scrapped, I just put some adhesive there, and I'm just going to set my paper down like so. Okay, now I'm going to ink up my background stamp. Now if you notice in the focal point of my card, I've actually got two colors. So I'm going to give it one good coat of the Lemon Lime Twist, and then I'm going to bring in a piece of my sponge, and I've got Blackberry Bliss. And so I'm just going to take my sponge and grab some ink, and then I'm just going to dab my ink right over the green. So I did the lighter color first because now I can just dab some purple over the top. Okay, so this is kind of whimsy. You don't really know where you're going to end up with the color, but it's going to be fun. Alright, now I'm going to give it a good huff. Nice and wet. So I'm going to flip this over, press, and stamp. Now the next part I'm going to go a little bit quick because I have to get the embossing powder on there. So, oop, I missed a little, so let's do that again. Nice thing about Stamparatus, nothing moved. I can just flip it over and try again. Better, better. Alright, so now I'm going to take this off quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and close that for a second. I'm going to bring in my embossing pail here. Now, I'm not going to emboss the entire surface. I just want a little splash of gold in here. So I'm just going to kind of sprinkle, and it's going to move around a little bit. You really don't have control over this. So I'm just going to sprinkle a little across the center there. And then I don't want to shake it all around. I just want it to keep it kind of contained here. So just let it sit on that wetting for a second. Tap off any extra. Okay, so there's a little bit on there. So it's not like I stamped in Versamark and it was super sticky ink. I just stamped it in my normal colors, and then I added the emboss powder over the wet ink. So now I'm going to go ahead and use my heat tool and emboss this. It's going to take a little time, It gets loud, so if you want to fast forward through this part, I understand. So here, let's get this done. Okay, I think I got it all. So now, did you see when I started, I've got boss powder everywhere. Okay, so when I started, I knew my band was kind of right here in the center, so I started with the heat there. And once the heat started to catch it and melt it, I could kind of see where it had landed. So I followed it across my cardstock, but now, like I said, it was kind of dusty. I didn't stamp an image that I knew the edges and I knew when it was done. So I also took my heat tool and I made sure I heated the top edge, and I came down here and watched for anything to change, and I don't think anything else was changing. And now I can just lightly run my finger, make sure I don't have any loose powder on there. Okay, so that panel is done. All right, we're gonna put that aside. Now we're gonna go back to our Stamparatus and stamp 2 more times. Now I've got green and purple on my background stamp, so I need to clean it. So I'm going to use a chamois I have here. Okay, we do sell chamois. This is actually a Norwex cloth, so that works too. So I just put some spritz cleaner on my Stampin' Up! Cleaner on my chamois here, and now I'm just going to wash down my stamp because I don't want purple on the next stamped image. Okay, so clean that all up. And I just keep that in an old box that our stamp sets used to come in. And then I put the lid on it and it's good to go. Okay, so now we're going to stamp the front of our card. Now you could, right, just put it in here folded, because you have the outline of where your stamp is. So you could just put this in here folded and stamp it over. I'm actually going to do something a little different. See, I know where my edge is down here. So I'm going to put my card very close to that edge. I'm going to go ahead and use my magnet right here on the edge of the plate to hold that in place for me. Let's see if it'll hold it for me. Over here maybe? Okay, let's hope that doesn't give me trouble. Now I'm going to test it before I ink it up. Yep, that's going to give me trouble. So maybe I just won't use the magnet. Okay, so here's my paper. I'm going to ink that up in a second. And then when I flip it over, the edge of my stamp and the crease in my paper should line up approximately. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and ink up my stamp again. Okay, so now I'm stamping Lemon Lime Twist ink onto Lemon Lime cardstock. So I just flip this over and press it down, give it a good press. I find that I press a lot harder when I use this, and look at that, it lined right up where I wanted it. And there was still a little bit of adhesive in there, so that got stuck down. So there's the front of my card. Isn't that lovely all just by itself? Think of that in all different colors, or just color on color. Okay, we've got to do one more thing. We're going to do the envelope. So again, I have a crease on my envelope, right? So I'm going to put my envelope right on the edge of that stamped spot. Oop. Put that down. I'll lift this up to make sure my crease is right along where I want it. Ink this up one more time. right, and flip it, stamp it. See how we did? Pretty good. So now I have a decorated envelope to go with my card. It all ties in together, and we are good to move on. Okay. I'm going to put this aside, and I'm going to put this aside, and I'm going to put this aside, and I'm going to bring this in. So, do you see here I've got that layered on a piece of Blackberry Bliss. So that's going to go right there. But before I do that, I'm going to steal from this layer a scalloped circle. Okay, this is actually our starburst circle punch. And I'm just going to take it right from the middle because no one's going to know, and that's going to be part of my tag. So steal it first. Then I can go ahead and adhere this sheet down to my mounting piece, and I just have a little bit showing through on the edges because I just wanted to pick up the color that I put on there as my secondary color. And then this is going to go right on our card. And look, you could line it up. See how here's a swirl and here's a swirl? If you want to, you could line it up more or less, right? This one I lined up kind of over in that corner. You could line it up over in this corner. I think I'm going to do that this time, and I'm just going to snail that down as well. So if you want to try to line up your swirls in the stamp, you can do that. If you don't care, you can put it anywhere on here you want. See, I could even go up like that, and it's still going to kind of pick up similar paths. So it's your card. You make it the way you want it. Alright, so there's the first set of layers are on. Okay, let's do our tag next. So I have a piece of scrap. Now I used shimmer white because I really wanted it to shine. So I used shimmer white. And now we need to stamp our Enjoy Your Special Day. First I'm going to punch it out with my 2-inch punch, which coordinates with the starburst well. So I've got my circle. Okay, now in the stamp set, Enjoy Your Special Day, it's one long greeting, but I wanted it up and down. So what do? So I'm going to ink up my stamp, then I'm going to take a Post-it note, and I'm going to cover up the special day. Okay, so I'm sticking that right to my block. I'll flip it over, I can see through, I can line this up, and stamp that down. Then I repeat, ink it up again. This time I cover up the Enjoy Your. Okay, and again I can see through, place, special day. I've got my sentiment tag now. I'm going to go ahead and adhere that. And I'm going to put that on my dimensional, pop that on my card. Put a little more on there. Okay, use those edges. Edges are great. Alright, 1, 2. Alright, so here's my edge. I'm going to put it right about there still. Alright, so now we got to do our dragonfly. So, let's see. I have a piece of lemon lime twist and a piece of shimmer white. I've already die cut the detailed dragonfly. Alright, so there's that one. Now I have to stamp, and I also added gold emboss. So I'm going to stamp, I'm going to gold emboss, and then we're going to heat emboss, and then we're going to die cut on the big shot. So those are the steps we need to do next. So first things first, I'm going to stamp the detailed dragonfly image with my Blackberry Bliss. Okay, so I stamp that on there. Press good image. Excellent. And now I'm going to come in with the wing stamp, and I'm going to use the lemon lime twist and ink this. Stamp that right over those wings. Look through your block and line it up. Stamp some color on there. Now most of that's going to end up with emboss on it. Now, like I said, we're just embossing on that wet ink. So I just kind of scoop some up, tap it off, and I'm going to heat boss this. So again, excuse the noise. See it starting to change? And just move across your image. Careful not to burn your fingers. Great. So we just have a little shine of our gold on there. Okay, so we need to die cut that. So I'm going to bring in my die cutting tool, my Big Shot. Back this up. Alright, so I have one plate that I cut on. I'm going to put that down, put my die over the top, put my top plate on, make my sandwich. I'm going to run this through, hopefully nice and smooth. Sometimes the table shakes, so be ready for that. I think we did okay. Okay, I'm going to pull that off. Just going to pop this out, just like that. Get it out of the die. Okay, so now I'm going to bring the card back in. So now I'm going to use a mini dimensional. So first I'm going to put a mini dimensional between the two dragonflies. So I put it right there on the body, and I'm going to put this one right over the top. Okay, and now I'm going to kind of bend up these wings a little bit so you see the green underneath just a little. Now I'm going to take... Now mine didn't push out all the things, so I'm actually able to add dimensionals right underneath. If yours is all die cut and all those little pieces came out, which is great, then just put one right in the body. I can add a little extra because mine didn't cut through all the way. Alright, and then I'm going to add my embellishment there, and there we go. So a little longer than normal that I do here, but I think it's fun. I think it's a great technique to add just a little bit of sheen over the top of an image with the gold emboss. So I hope you enjoyed. These sets are retiring. You have a couple of days. You have until June 3rd if you want to get the sets. And the Lemon Lime Twist is going too. So if there's any of that left and you want it, scoop it up because I don't think it'll last long. Alright everybody, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you do some fun stamping today. And remember, you can subscribe to the Show and Tell news. It comes out on Tuesday. This week's projects are featured next week on the newsletter. Or just hop on over to the blog link, it's down below. And you can see all the products I used and either have know that there's a tutorial, or you can see the measures and instructions right on the blog sometimes. So I hope you're enjoying, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.